Hi guys, and welcome back to Pass and Move. And for today's episode, we are back in the Dortmund series with a game against Hoffenheim. We're the away team, so it's going to be a bit difficult, but there is a lot on the line. And since the last episode, there has been a much better improvement in form. So Bayern have a game ahead on us, a game in hand, but they are obviously a huge amount of points away from us. I think that's about 17 points. So that's kind of the difference. They've been unbeaten so far. I think we're about halfway through the season in truth. 17 games is exactly it. We've only played 16, but yeah. The good news is if we win today, we'll go into the Europa League spots in 6th place. We're not far away from Champions League at all, not even from the second spot in truth. Just about 8 points which we can definitely overtake, in particular because that we can beat any of these teams in truth. It all depends on how we perform. So today we'll need to perform against Hoffenheim, who are in 13th place, not far off from us, 4 points. If they do win today, then obviously they close that gap until 2-1. But like I mentioned, if we win, we go into Europa League spots, and we can turn this season around in the second half of the German first division. So in terms of what happened since the last episode, a lot of good form. So we showed you that humiliating defeat to Gelsenkirchen 7-1, but against Cologne we bounced back sort of with a draw 1-1, and we were a bit unfortunate not to come away with a win, as Cordoba scored in the 91st minute to give them a draw. We didn't make the tactical tweak just yet then, but we did against Basel, and that helped us manage a 3-2 win. We actually went into halftime with a 2-0 lead, and then they managed to score twice in the last 10 minutes of the game. The complacency really kicked in for my players, who were just sort of taking the piss, I suppose. But Pulisic managed to score in the 94th minute, so that kind of completed, and the point was to get the result that was needed, and we did that to set us up perfectly for the next Champions League game. In terms of first division though, 2-0 win away in Freiburg. Yarmolenko with both goals, and it was important to win, of course, just to try and get us back and continuing good form, to make sure that this tactical tweak wasn't just luck. And as you can see from the results, huge amount of greens there, so it's good to see. At home against Stuttgart, we managed a 2-1 win. Playing with the tactical tweak we've made doesn't necessarily guarantee us clean sheets, but at least we're outscoring our opponents, and that's all that matters, with the Yarmolenko with another hat-trick, this time coming through a penalty as well, with Gordas just making things a little bit uncomfortable there in the 60th minute. Augsburg 2-1. We're away from home. We should definitely be beating this type of opposition, but obviously when you're away it makes things a bit more difficult. But Emerick Aubameyang was the one who scored the brace this time, and Heller once more trying to make things uncomfortable for our team. But it's good that we know how to hold out against our opposition. Against Copenhagen, a win was necessary to try and keep us in the Champions League, and that's exactly what we got. We ended the Champions League group stage game. Well, might as well show you, but the first knockout round's already been drawn. We were going to be playing against Chelsea, and hopefully be showing that in February, the month of February, but it depends on how we're performing in the league as well, because that's kind of our priority. But in terms of our group itself, we ended second to Juventus on 11 points. Copenhagen have an incredible Champions League run, I suppose, and they're just unfortunate to just miss out on the Champions League spots, probably drop down to Europa. And there's actually Basel, of all teams, who I did not expect in this group, who seriously underperformed with just a single point and no wins at all. Copenhagen making things a bit uncomfortable. I think they even beat Juventus 4-3 there at home. And that kind of brings us up to Bremen, who we managed to beat 3-0, very convincing, the most convincing result of late, with Emerick Aubameyang scoring a hat-trick to really turn this season a bit kind of around for us. Against Hoffenheim is where it all matters. Otherwise, everything we've done up to this point doesn't matter, and the board can seriously start to consider my position. In terms of tactic tweak, we'll just show you that in just a second. But in terms of money, the board have seriously given me a ton of money out of the blue. They said that we're managing finances really well, so they gave me about 100 million. I've moved it all the way to the wage budget to give as much room for manoeuvrement in the obviously wage budget. We've got about 900k to give out to players if we decide to bring them in. But yeah, it's just good to see, and considering that they've given me half the overall finances, they're quite generous. But yeah, I'm going to try and avoid spending all of it. Of course, we don't want to put this club in debt or anything. It should be okay though, but we definitely do need some serious improvements, and we'll be looking to do that in January. I typically do all my business in the summer transfer window, but the way this season's gone, we do have to consider making changes in this January transfer window. Mostly it's going to be about outs, so we still do need to sell off Weinfeller and Berkey, who will actually put Weinfeld on the bench. We still need to get rid of Onatelli and Biner. These two aren't that important to get rid of in truth. They're not on high wages and they're incredibly cheap anyways. But we do need to get rid of the likes of Charlotte and Durm, who will probably give us a bit more money and get rid of wages at the same time too. Hopefully we can do that in January transfer window and start bringing in better players. So tactic itself, the only tweak we've made is gone from attacking midfielder to defensive one. It seems to have worked favours, huge amounts in our favour, and that's kind of it. We've just gone from an advanced playmaker to a deep line playmaker on defend. We don't have too many defensive midfielders. In truth, Weigels are only a defensive midfielder. We do have Mahmoud Dahoud, I think, who's just accomplished in that role. It's actually Weigl who's more of a natural there, so we might have to look into bringing someone in defensive midfield. But other than that, everything else relatively the same. Advanced playmaker and a centre midfielder on attack to support Aubameyang, and that's kind of it. But in terms of the eventual tactics we're working towards, we've also changed that. So we've gone with a 4-2-3-1, recognizing that obviously this league is tougher or a bit different. We've gone with sort of the same formation that we faced against Bayern, which is a 4-2-3-1 with 2 defensive midfielders instead of 2 attacking ones, and that should help us solidify ourselves a bit more. And still the same roles: ball-winning midfield on defend and a roaming playmaker, just in the deeper positions. We might expose ourselves in the central midfield a little bit, but we should be okay, and it should also help us in playing a direct style of football while we knock the ball forward to our wingers and whatnot. But yeah, still a complete forward on support, shadow strike, all that sort of business. The only tactical tweak is the formation itself. And yeah, today we can try just quickly change some of these roles to roles that players are more comfortable with. But yeah, so far it's been doing well, and Kagawa has been an excellent centre midfielder on attack duty in truth. I think he prefers to be central when in a 3-man grouping, but we're not playing like that. If anyone's got any clue about how Dortmund actually play in real life, then do let me know. I thought they used to play with the 4-2-3-1, but to be honest, I don't pay attention to the German league that often. I only watch Dortmund in huge games, and then I'm not really necessarily paying attention to the formation, just more so about the football. Another little tweak we can make is actually change the sweeper keeper back to attack, because I thought that was the mistake that why we're conceding so much. But we'll keep goalkeeping for today since it's performing so well, but I will consider changing back to a sweeper keeper since it helps us when we play the offside trap as well. But I think there you go. We'll talk more about who's starting. I mean, I'm sure you've actually already read the names, but we'll go through it one by one once this game sort of loads. Hugely important game though. We play Hoffenheim twice in the span of I think 3 or 4 days, one in the German Cup and obviously one in the First Division. They're lining up with a bit of a defensive formation somewhat. We'll have to do well against these 3 here, but within defensive midfield on our side we should be able to do well with them. Playing fullbacks, not wingbacks, so they're not necessarily too attacking. They should be able to cover each other, and a goalkeeper's there to help us too. Central midfielders will work hard as well in the central midfield to try and dominate this area of the pitch, and hopefully Aubameyang, Yarmolenko and Pulisic can dominate these 3 centre-backs here. But yeah, Aubameyang in incredible form, of course. Yarmolenko, I think, assists is most assists. Aubameyang's got the most goals, so hopefully these 2 can be the key players in our attack. Pulisic gets the nod because we've got no one on the left wing necessarily performing, and with Royce yet to return from his injury, Pulisic can get some decent game time there. Had a very average season so far, but that's down to him being rotated around and moving from one position to another in a bunch of different roles. So hopefully once everything settles, all my players' performances can improve, which we've seen already, but hopefully we can get better than that. Kagawa still, as I mentioned, performing really well. Weigl, our only defensive midfielder. Someone tell me if it's Weigl or Weigl. Could possibly just nickname him, but we could just go with Julian as well. Castro comes into the side after Götz's form has dropped off despite the overall team performing well. Toya and Schmelzer are our first choice fullbacks. In truth, actually, Toya is supposed to be the new player above Vidal, whose abilities actually dropped off a bit. It's a bit of a concern. Bought him as a leading player for most German sides. My scouts' abilities aren't necessarily bad. I think they're about 15, so that should normally be accurate. But for some reason, he sort of dropped off, and I think Toyan's been performing really well in recent times. And the same can be said about Subotic, who's overtaken Papastopoulos for a short while here. But we'll see, obviously, who underperforms and who performs well. Barta, first choice defensive centre-back, though, and relatively, we're starting with a decent enough side to get the job done. It's just about players performing on the day itself. Hopefully no complacency kicks in since we've won 6 times in a row, and I think we can go with give the fans, okay, apparently that's not the best option to go with, but maybe this can make amends. It's definitely not going to make them want to walk through walls. Okay, Thankfully, I've cursed myself and it's worked out in our favor. So, we'll definitely have replays on. I've realized that it's actually replay events. That's the mistake. So I actually have to go here again and click on goals. Maybe goal action as well. Can we do both? No, it's either or. Let's just stick to goals then. Great chances. No, let's just leave it as is. TV director. I think we're all set. And the players have kicked off already. And Hoffenheim are through here. But with the defensive midfielder, I'm feeling as secure as it comes. And Bartek does well to set play it to the defensive midfielder, and he lines up Aubameyang, and we can counter them if we are smart enough. Having said that, they've got as many men as possible back, and Pulisic has the ball. Another thing I've been considering is actually playing a 4-1-4-1 with instead of inside forwards, we play inverted wingers. That might help us a little bit more in terms of keeping our defense. Early free kick for us here. Maybe we can cause some damage to Hoffenheim already. But yeah, I feel like inverted wingers will help our overall tactic, as I mentioned in the last episode. I think inverted wingers don't necessarily cross less often. Inside forwards have the option to cross less often, more so than inverted wingers. So if we have inverted wingers, then it might help us a bit, because, you know, we're supposed to be a team who cross more than any other tactic, I suppose. Okay, so somehow we've survived that. But yeah, I think that might suit us a little bit more. We'll see how, since we're doing well with inside forwards, there's no real need to change. And we do have to be a bit more attacking, because obviously inside forwards support Aubameyang more so than the inverted wingers. But yeah, early signs here from against Hoffenheim is that this isn't going to be an easy game at all. And maybe the smarter thing to do would actually be to play inverted wingers. We need to try and capitalize on their lone wide men here. So all of our good play should come through the flanks. And Schmelzer finds Kagawa. Really decent ball into the box for Aubameyang. He gets tackled though, and Vogt is going to try and get his team on the counter. Cleared up well by Toyan, and Castro finds Weigl. He sends that to Kagawa. What can an advanced playmaker do? Aubameyang. Kagawa through to Pulisic. What's he going to do? Opportunity to impress Aubameyang. And that is headed off the line, was it? It says that was an almost own goal, but it looked more like a headed off the line. That was incredible. But anyways, really back and forth. And I think the moment we score a goal, I will go into inverted wingers instead. Our players are comfortable in those roles anyways. They're very natural in those positions too. And in terms of attributes, there's not much difference between the inverted winger and inside forward. So we can really quite easily switch those formations whenever necessary. I feel like it would help us in the flanks as well to sort of create better overlaps against these two and isolate their wing backs so we can dominate down the wing. You know, Hoffenheim have had more shots as well. We can try and do that just before half time, see if that has any type of effect, immediate effect anyways. So let's go into inverted winger on attack. And there you go. You know, Aubameyang should be decently supported still by the central midfielder on attack, which is Kagawa, but looks like we're going to go into half time with no real you know, amazing highlight, I suppose. But yeah, let's see if that 4-1-4-1 can perform a little bit better, and, you know, try and tell our players off at half time as well. We're supposed to be favourites, so we should be performing better. I think they started off the game a little bit complacent. After the last match, there were hints of complacency, so maybe telling the players off might see us turn this around as well. We can go into attacking as well, see if that helps. And that the players are ready to walk through walls again. So the only clear-cut chance of the game going towards Hoffenheim. It's a good thing that they didn't score that. Possession though, they're dominating, as well as shots and even shots on target. But half chances are equal, so we need to start trying to convert and be efficient. Aubameyang having a hat-trick in the last game is really the peak efficiency, and so we need a repeat performance. Hoffenheim with a corner though. Cleared away by Subotic. Zuber though still has it. Can we tackle him? Pulisic does exactly that, and Aubameyang's on his way against their defense, and thankfully Pulisic helps with the counter. What's he going to do? He has to play a smart ball here. Does that with Castro, actually. He's through. Can he score? Is he going to play across? Oh, and he almost scored himself. He did do the smart option, which is try and play across, but a bit too close, I suppose, for the goalkeeper, and just comes off the post. And we need more chances like that, and that's why we play on direct football, so that we can counter teams in that sense. even though we're playing on attacking, of course. Hoffenheim with a set piece though. Lumped ball forward stupidly, and Beagle clears it up for us. Yarmolenko in a deeper position. Back to Barter. I guess that was actually aimed for Rulli, and it eventually makes his way to him. And Schmelzer's on the ball for us now. Needs to bring it forward a bit. Kagawa, central midfield on attack. Huge importance in this squad. He's the one who supports Aubameyang more than anyone else, and so if he's not in good form, it's likely that Aubameyang's not going to be in good form. We said that, Yarmolenko finds the advanced playmaker Castro through to Aubameyang. What does he do? Kagawa? Well placed shot, but Bowman had that covered all day. And we have improved after half time. Whether that's down to the team talk or whether it's down to the formation, either way, it's a positive change, and I think it is a bit to the formation. Having said that, Uth is free on this side here. Does really well to find Carmack, and the goalkeeper's done stupidly. He's playing in the goalkeeping role, not a sweeper keeper, but he's still rushed out for that. And he's caught out incredibly because he was nowhere near the goal when it was actually taken. Get a replay here to see it more clearer. Director's cut as well, but look at that, just one ball forward. Defense is caught out, which is fair enough, but at this point, he should be a bit quicker here. I think that's Subotic to come across and cover. The goalkeeper's already come out here for some weird reason, even though he's a goalkeeper, not a sweeper keeper. And Barter and Schmelzer are just staring at the goalkeeper like, what on earth are you doing? And that's kind of it. Maybe we should play with the sweeper keeper if he's doing it anyways, but yeah. Time to make some substitutions. No one performing horribly and no one necessarily tired. We'll see if the players can respond on their own. But losing against Hoffenheim really is not an option. Okay, no real highlights either. I think we should push up to inside forwards as well. Considering that we definitely need a goal at this point. And inside forward on support. Okay, let's go back to the pitch. No, not the pitch, the team talk. Wait, not team talk. What am I talking about? I need to make some substitutions. Let's quickly adjust that. Hello, come on. Highlight before I've even made the tactical changes. I was looking to make some substitutions, but maybe the players can do it themselves here. Castro picks up the ball after a horrible first touch and he sets Aubameyang through. Can he score? Normally when I ask that he can, but that's the first clear-cut chance and the first one squandered in the 70th minute. And we need a serious turn in form. So I think it's time to take off some players, and we'll take off Kagawa for Götze and Yarmolenko for Maximilian Philipp, and we'll change him to a winger. Let's see how that goes. Alright, set piece. Who's on the ball for us? Castro. Good delivery into the box. Subotic rises. Cleared though. And Zubar is going to try and hold the ball up for his team. Great tackle though. And Aubameyang has Pulisic. Goes for the first time shot instead of the placement. Bounces off the freaking post again. And Schmelzer gives away a free kick. And we're really knocking on their door now. But is it enough to turn this result around? 80th minute, we can make a last substitution now. Aubameyang, definitely the one who's had a horrible game, and change that into complete forward on attack. I think that's the only real substitution we can make. We'll make a quick tactical change too and go into overload. Don't really have an option now, 10 minutes left. Can go with early crosses, pass in space, clear the ball to the flanks, run at defense and take more risks, and that kind of suits us completely. We can shoot on the side as well, and I feel like because they're playing wing backs, we can actually go with the exploit the flanks option too. Alright, come on. Alright, great. There's a highlight. Whether it goes in our favour is yet to be seen, but with the tweaks we've made, that should be enough to at least get us a draw. Subotic only clears as far as Zubar. He bounces off his head and Castro can sweep up. Does kinda good enough. Gets away with it really, but Philipp there doesn't get away with his pass, and Zubar on the ball again. And quite easily in behind Subotic once more. The players playing a dangerous game, and even Rulli's doing... He's gotten away with that, but just really poor goalkeeping. He's so prone to error. It's unusual. Anyways, Hoffenheim still trying to get a second for some weird reason. Can we win the ball and counter? Alright, well, we've won the ball, but we can't counter, and Zubar is on the ball again. Can't get out of our own box. Stop the cross. And that is the error-prone goalkeeper for you. I wonder if he's actually going to be held responsible for that. Still a 6.8 rating, so apparently it's not his fault. Defenders 6.5 and 6.3. God knows how this is going to help, but let's go with it and see what happens. 5 minutes to go. If we score 2 goals in 5 minutes, that would be incredible, but at the same time I'm kind of glad that the result has turned out this way, if that makes any sense, in the sense that, look at that, that's incredible goalkeeping, seriously. In the sense that some players who might not necessarily be first teamers shouldn't, you know, be getting regular first team football. They're only getting it because, you know, the team's performing well. Players like Subotic, for example, shouldn't be in the first team, but they're getting first team football. So things like that, maybe we can make some changes to the first team and see some actual quality players come back into our side. Walter, though, coming off the bench, can he find his teammate? Philip, can he find his teammate as well? Yeah, he does. Eventually it's Pulisic, and he just goes for the shoot on sight option instead of crossing it to the back post, which might be a bit more intelligent, but fair enough. I do have that instruction on. Having said that, it looks like it's going to end 2-0 to Hoffenheim. With our opportunity to get into Europa League spots, we've squandered it, and we're going to need some incredible run of form after this again to try and turn things around. 17 games played halfway through the season, and we're just a mid-table team, and you'd be correct to assume that the board are going to seriously start to ask some questions now. But yeah, definitely not good enough. We should have won that match. We can get a revenge in the German Cup, obviously, but we haven't met the expectations yet, which are to reach the final, I think. So not a game that we necessarily claim is important, but if we are going to underperform in the league, we have to perform well in the cup competitions. But yeah, as it says here, that kind of sums it up. Dortmund finally lose. We won 5 matches in a row, and I think even more than that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But yeah, this one's probably the loss that's hurt us most this season in terms of the result. Obviously this is a 7-1, but this is, you know, the one that actually was important for us to try and turn things around. Second half of the season, though, we do have a decent opening. Hertha, Frankfurt, Leverkusen, BMG, Wolfsburg, Bayern as well. We can try and close that gap, and then afterwards we have a decent run in as well towards the end of the season. We can seriously start picking up some points if we do perform well. Chelsea, though, in February. In terms of when we'll be back, it's obviously in January. You'll hopefully see some transfers as well. Have a bit of a winter break between December to January. Almost a month's time. But yeah, the fixtures to look out for: Hertha, Frankfurt, Leverkusen, and I think the one we'll be showing you is actually Leverkusen one. It seems to be the one of most importance, but it depends. Obviously, Frankfurt is also just as important, and we'll see how the fixtures go. But yeah, I think that'll be all for today's episode. So if you did enjoy it, then of course please do hit the like button and subscribe for more Daily Football Manager 2018 content. And as always, guys, thank you all very much for watching.